What is going on, everybody? This is Drew here. I want to welcome you all to a brand new episode of Phoenix Down. This is Phoenix Down 115.1, and we are continuing our playthrough of The Sinking City. Today I have with me Matt.
Hello.
And Anthony.
Hello.
And yeah, went back to Throgmorton. And he gave us a little bit more information. Obviously, we are looking for partner. Are we considering Professor Doe the partner in this?
Main contractor. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
And he asked us to look into somebody, and I'm still, to be honest with you, right now I'm still confused. He wanted us to look into somebody, but make it secret. Don't let anybody know who you're looking for, or that I'm looking for this person. And I don't know, was he talking about Doe?
I'm not sure. There's a hint that I found later on that I don't know, man.
Okay.
Don't know.
Because when he said that, I was confused. I'm like, okay, so I'm looking for somebody, but I need to be secret about it. So far, I haven't been secret about any of this. I've been like, hey, where's this person? You know? So I don't know who he's talking about. But it leads us to another case. Basically, we go to the fish market. What brings us to the fish market? I'm missing that part. I remember most of everything else, but I can't remember what made us go to the fish market.
Wasn't the whole search for Doe just because she was the researcher on the expedition?
Well, they've kidnapped her too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why we're looking for her, right? Not because she's a partner. Just that she was a survivor. Okay.
Yeah, I was just calling her because it seems like he was. I guess because she's the only survivor. But I was like, she seems a little bit more important than the rest of those people.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I can't even. What did everybody do? I left all those guys to die.
So I killed them, and I was not given a choice on whether or not what I was doing with them, because I shot them all. They when I met with Throgmorton, it was like they're all dead.
I mean, that's what I had a choice of telling him you need to go save them or they're all dead, and I just chose to tell him they're all dead. I did not
get a choice, so I think that's impressive that it didn't give me a choice to save dead bodies.
Yeah, I said to save them, but I've definitely flip-flopped a lot in this game as far as thinking that the crazies should be saved versus thinking that they're too dangerous to let live.
So, all right, are you seeing any type of consequence to any of this, Matt?
No. But, okay. I don't know if it factors into the rationale at all, right? Professor Doe was definitely more important than the others because she was the one leading that expedition. She's the one that found the seal, the ancient artifact. And she's the one that was abducted. So
it's also not said, it isn't presented that she has also lost her mind, which is a key thing to remember as well. Because in all the little flashbacks that you see, it's not presented that she's also
insane,
losing her mind. Yeah. I will say that we're kind of jumping ahead, but I think I've seen repercussions of decisions I've made.
The only thing I can
find out based on something that happens in the second mission we'll be talking about.
Okay. Because I did notice something. Did any of you guys go back to your hotel room?
Oh yeah, there's always things on the wall.
Yeah, so there's always things on the wall, but I actually got a cut scene.
Haven't been there in a while.
Yeah. And I was curious if a cutscene happened every time after a case you went back to your hotel.
You're gonna have to tell us in detail what that cutscene was now, because I did not get a cutscene. I've not gotten a cutscene.
I will have to tell you at the end of this episode.
Oh,
because it spoils what happens a little bit later on.
All right.
So,
but we went to the fish market because the attack on the expedition was a crime. So then we went to the police station to search for any other crimes that were similar. And what we got out of that was that an attack happened near the fish market.
That's right. It was yeah. There was another attack that took place at the fish market.
And it seems like it's women being abducted.
Yeah. And that's when we check in with everything. So, yeah, when apparently it was an Innsmouther.
Yep.
That was doing the stuff. But the more important thing is there is a woman there who is giving out fish. She's giving out fish to the needy. And she is part of a group known as the EOD.
Which apparently is a pretty Lovecraftian reference.
Well, I didn't know what it was until later on.
Yeah.
Until I started investigating them. But she says...
Dagon is a Lovecraft... Like, it's been in a bunch of stuff.
I'm assuming it's a god.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I think it's the Innsmouth god. Like, I'm pretty sure that's where give me a second here. I'm just trying to figure out which book he shows up in. I think it's Shadow over Innsmouth is where Dagon... Because I'm pretty sure that's how the Innsmouthers start. It's a big fish monster looking god. I doubt we run into it in this game.
So not the one we saw underwater?
No. This is more humanoid. Like, picture, like, Cthulhu, but instead of squid face and wings, just fish face.
Okay.
It's kind of that.
Gotcha.
Even though, I'm going to be honest with you, half the Lovecraft stuff is never described in enough detail. It's like, it gives off the idea and impressions of, tentacles. But is it tentacles? I don't know. Just why I'm kind of in...
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, continue what you're about to say, because...
I have never read anything from H.P. Lovecraft.
He's horribly racist.
Yes. They actually give that warning at the beginning of the game.
But I'm going to just say it now. Like, this game doesn't really deal too much about it. There's some KKK hideouts you can find, which is lovingly marked with KKK from the hobos, which is still an ingenious way of having this. But honestly, it's like, what Lovecraft inspired is better than Lovecraft's work.
The mythos more than the actual individual texts.
I wouldn't even say the mythos, but the style of horror that Lovecraft sort of invented is less of a physical horror and more of like a lack of understanding and the inability to process what you are seeing.
Yeah.
And that is more of an interesting concept that he's presenting than it is a really good horror. And that's not to say that they're bad stories, but they're very slow. So if you're looking for, like, I want, some scary stuff, like, it is... You're going to be disappointed.
Gotcha.
Read them for historical sake. Read them as interesting stories, but don't read them as like a horror story. They don't get there really. Like his best ones are like the the life and death of or whatever of Sir Arthur German that inspires the Throgmortons. Like that is that is probably one of the better horror stories. But again, he works off the idea that the information is the scary part, right?
Yeah, like it'll break your mind.
Like it'll break your mind, and that's when he sets himself on fire. Like the information and knowing is, and it's kind of funny that a racist that was pretty closed-minded wrote stories about being open-minded is a good thing, but it was done better. It was done better shortly after his work was out, and I don't know, like Frankenstein holds up better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they're short stories, and he died penniless, so it's all like pretty much in the public domain at this point. But yeah, like everything that he talks about is like just kind of like a suggestion of what it looks like. Like I think, if I recall correctly, Cthulhu is never really seen. It's like it's a wooden idol or something like that, and it doesn't it gives off the form of like a big winged tentacled thing, and people are praying at it, but it's not like you see it and it comes out and you're sacrificing yourself at the end like the Call of Cthulhu game.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I've seen stuff that was inspired by him.
His stuff inspired by him is far better. Like,
yeah.
So, for example, H.P. Lovecraft was born in 1890 and died in 1937 at age 46. Young guy.
Yep.
John W. Campbell, born in 1910, lived to 1971. You might not know his name, but he wrote the novella Who Goes There, which is what the movie The Thing is based on. And that was in 1938.
That's awesome.
And that is a very Lovecraftian sort of story with the same sort of horror. Like, we can't really describe it, but it will look like you at times, right? And it's a pretty much the same story as the movie. Like, it's pretty spot on, the adaptation from Carpenter. There's a few things that have changed, but and the ending's slightly different, but if you know that story, like, the original story holds up. Apparently there was a manuscript called Frozen Hell that was finally published in 2019. I don't know how different that is, but so he was, a contemporary to Lovecraft, essentially, and his work is a better take on the same idea. I'm sorry I'm going off of this, but, like, look at the creatures in this game, and for the most part, they're doing more like what Campbell has with the body horror. Like, one of the creatures, because I have to point this out because I didn't see it before, is like a human torso that is backwards, so it's walking like it's like the top torso. It doesn't look like it's severed or anything. It just looks like it's grown that way. The head is split down the center as a mouth, and it spits stuff at you, and until you get close, you can't see that it's a human face. It just looks like nothingness. A lot of the creatures have that. The main one, this Stygian, whatever it's called, the big spidery things. Like, the closer you get to those when they're attacking, like, you can see that it's kind of like a human body, mangled and distorted. And one of the creatures I fought for, it was actually the Necronomicon, which is Lovecraft. It was a giant thing that I won't describe, but it pretended to be human at one point too. So I just point that out because, like, the monster design in this game is very different. That I did not realize the first time I played it how much, like, some of it's obvious and other parts were not obvious until this time through.
Yeah, reminds me a little bit of Dead Space.
Yeah. Also another sort of Lovecraftian, as we term it, thing. Especially the first game with the twist.
Yeah. Recently read Lovecraft Country that was pretty good as well.
I've heard that's actually amazing, and the show was really good, too.
Yeah, I haven't seen that yet. I'd like to.
The show felt like a fever dream. It was canceled, I think. The show was weird. Like, I was just like, all right, so what's happening now? I couldn't figure it out half the time. But didn't correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't Reanimator based on H.P. Lovecraft?
Yep. I don't know if it's a specific story or not, though.
Okay.
It could be. I haven't read everything from Lovecraft either. Again, it's kind of a slog at times.
What was the other Jeffrey Combs movie that was supposed to be based on H.P. Lovecraft stuff? There was another one.
Oh, apparently Herbert West Reanimator is an actual Lovecraft story. Huh.
Okay. And then I think, what was it? From Beyond? Is that what it's called?
I'm looking.
This is back in the 80s.
From Beyond,
well.
yeah. Based on the short story of the same name by H.P. Lovecraft. Wow. He has one style, and we're gonna the one type of movie he's gonna do, and that's gonna be it.
I do love
Jeffrey Combs is in both of them. So there you go. Yeah. So fish market, we run into this woman who.
Speaking of tentacly things in big containers, I loved watching the eels.
Yeah.
Thrash around in the tanks because it's just dark enough that you can't really make out what it is at first.
Yeah,
I know it's a weird thing, but to point out...
there's so many things that are just like, you may see this in real life, but it's also very disturbing. Like a half-eaten shark I saw.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, the game's got a lot of that, a lot of that atmosphere here. I saw one reference a while ago that compared it to BioShock in that respect. Just the world and the atmosphere and the kind of pervasive feeling that, the obviousness that bad things have happened here.
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, even, now that you point that out, even the characters, from their characterization to their design, is very BioShocky. Like, we're on the verge of realism.
Yeah.
Until, like, Infinite, where, like, Elizabeth doesn't look like a real person really at all. She's too Disney princess looking, I feel. Everybody in those games were, like, kind of grotesque caricatures.
Yeah, they were spliced together with
DNA. Even Ryan and stuff, like, all the pictures of them in the bottom corner and stuff, like, everybody looked very depressed, but like somewhat realistic.
Sure.
Somewhat realistic. And like the main character in this, like, part of me goes, this is not a person, but at the same time, like, I could totally see this person existing, though. Same sunken eyes, tired face.
Yep. Pretty much. Yeah, so we run into this lady who works for the EOD, and she is basically giving away fish and trying to help out the locals who are in need. And she gives us a task in need of a private eye. Apparently there was a break-in at their fish
warehouse.
Warehouse, I guess, storage area. And she wants us to look into it, see who the culprit was. All right, remind me again, why she has information that we need? And that's why we're doing this for her?
Well, we wanted to get to talk to the top brass of the EOD.
Was that the reasoning? Okay.
And she said that we couldn't unless we were part of the organization. And I think he said, well, what do you want me to do?
All right. Gotcha. So yeah, we head over to the fish storage area, and we meet a guy there. That's the Walking Dead reference, Daryl Grimes. He's an Innsmouther. And he said that there was a burglar the other night, and he was going to try to attack it, but he missed. He threw a spear at him. So we have to piece together what actually happened.
So here's where decisions start having to be made.
Yeah.
Because he was making toys for orphans.
That's right.
Oh, you're like, no.
Yeah, you go from them handing out free fish to everybody who's starving to this guy making toys for orphans. EOD seems like a pretty good organization,
right?
And then you discover the torture room, and you're like, torture room.
I did not discover a torture room.
Did you not?
You did not discover a torture room.
I did not.
Well, I thought that was a key piece of this investigation.
I thought that was too okay.
Because I thought that was what
optional.
That's what kind of undermined the altruistic nature that they're trying to convey.
Yeah. So no,
because you go and talk to him, and he's like, "Yeah, but please don't tell Miss
Anna.
Thank you. About this, she kind of scares me or whatever, and I'm like, I'm sure she does, son. I'm sure she does. But part of me is like, I'm not going to rat this guy out. From the beginning, I'm like, I'm not going to rat this guy out. But I kind of wish I could see what happened if I did.
I did. I ratted him out.
Oh, look at you.
Oh, wow, what a piece of shit.
Well, I said, hey, look, he missed it. They broke in under his watch. He didn't do his job.
But he didn't miss it, though. He tried to throw a spear at the guy.
Well, maybe he should have been prowling instead of playing with his toys.
Wow. Wow. I think
he is a guard. His job is to be a guard, right?
Whoa.
Man, Charles is a dick.
This is some utilitarianism at its finest. You didn't do the job you were supposed to. Done.
Jeez.
He was also a means to an end in my mind. I still need information from Anna, so I'm trying to do what I can do to get on her good side.
So what we find out, so you guys found the torture room. So I know the torture room exists because I saw it in the walkthrough. I'm not using the walkthrough, but when I finish an area, I typically try to go and look and see if I missed any evidence.
Yeah.
And
I missed the room.
And I completely missed this room. And once you leave, you can't go back to it. And I'm like, well, crap. All right. But yeah, so I didn't see the torture room, but we did piece together what kind of happened. So that night he was making toys for the orphans. Somebody broke in, and he did scare them away. But we did find what the person was doing. They weren't there to break in and steal fish. They were actually there to poison the fish.
God bless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
and we find the poison bottle, and we're like, well, gonna have to go check out where this came from.
Yep. So we had to go to the university.
But it wasn't a straight line to the university. I just don't remember where I had to go first to find out where, like, I had to go to, like, I don't remember if it was the doctor, but I had to be like, hey, where did this come from? And they're like, the university. I'm like, okay. I'm almost certain of that happening because I've had to go back a couple times to different people. Maybe I'm wrong. I remember being on University Road, and I was like, it's not here. So I had to go into some archive, I'm pretty sure, to end up on the university to talk to some bum, being like, well, man, this is the wrong department, dude. And I'm like, okay, where is it? And they're like, over there. And I'm like, why? Why do we have to make this step to talk to this asshole?
Yeah, I did that as well.
but it did stop me by the fountain where one guy's like, I'm looking for some books. And I'm like, this definitely is some shit that I shouldn't be getting myself involved with. But let me get your demon books for you, sure.
Did you?
Not yet, no. I did get all the books for the DLC, though. I sent Drew the costume you can unlock.
I see the costume. I can look at it, but I can't actually unlock it.
I unlocked it. Honestly, the best thing with that DLC was every time you go to get one of the books, it unlocks a skill point. Mm. And you have to fight enough creatures that you usually level up once anyways. So you get 2 skill points from like every book. And there was some interesting stuff, but the Letters DLC is, I think, a better one, because that one builds out the lore of the world a bit more. Generally, the books are like, it's written in some weird language, and here's some history about the book, and I'm like, I don't care. But yeah, we end up in the labs, I guess.
Department of Medicine.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, that medicine with we're really stretching that word.
Yeah. The only thing I actually see here is poison.
Yeah, the poison and creatures. We're examining them. Are you now? Did you hit the button?
Yep.
No. 3
times.
Yeah. Yeah, I absolutely did too. And then I had to fight the creature.
I hightailed it out of there as soon as I saw what was coming at me.
So that's the thing where I'm like, oh, that's right. I remember, because I was playing this game originally on normal the first time I played it, because I'm reviewing it. And I'm like, oh, that's right. Grenades are highly overpowered. 2 grenades and the thing falls. So, sometimes an extra bullet. But yeah, the grenades are your friend, and you stock up on those materials more than you do bullets generally.
Yeah, I have found that I'm usually out of bullets in this game at the moment.
Grenades are your friend. The Molotovs are okay, but like the grenades kick ass. Especially
Does
when
anybody use the traps?
No.
I don't either.
I used them in one fight, none of them went off.
That's why I'm just like, what? You mean the things that can dodge left and right in seconds? Yeah, no, I'm good.
Or what good is trapping a monster if it's spitting stuff at me?
I think they stopped spitting stuff at you.
Oh, really?
I tried to use it on humans.
I think it holds them.
Which don't jump and don't spit, so it should have been perfect. They walked right into it and walked over it, and nothing happened.
Oh, wonderful.
You got one of those faulty traps.
Yeah, a couple of them, apparently.
I apologize, we jumped ahead. There's a scrub at the front desk that's like, oh, I'll check the poison for you, sir. But you want to get rid of the creatures in the basement? We're kind of overrun.
Yeah, Samuel, who we see a few times in this game.
Is that his name?
This particular NPC is Samuel.
Oh yeah, the NPC is
But we see that exact face with some different hairstyles a couple of times.
Well, I'm pretty sure isn't the girl that works at the newspaper the exact same face, just a different hair?
Possibly.
They made the eyes. I'm not trying to be mean, but like all the black characters in this game, they've given the weirdest eyes to. And everybody has weird eyes already. Like, that's a weird thing. Like, I just don't get it. They all look like they're staring through me. And maybe they are. It's just a very bizarre thing. Like, the only other person that's got, like, maybe as weird of eyes is the doctor, but he's also pale and probably a vampire.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we help him out.
But anyway, so yeah, we go to the I guess the University of Medicine. I don't know
the laboratories of torture.
Yeah. And after getting rid of the beast in the basement, he's going to check on the substance that we found, and then we also ask him if we can go see the professor's rooms, offices upstairs. And currently what we're looking for is Professor Westerbrook.
Yep.
But he is out.
So. He's gone, isn't he? Like, isn't he, like, gone?
Is he dead?
No, I think he's not in the city.
Yeah.
They tell you where he is, and I'm like, I'm like, does that mean he's outside the city? I didn't run into him, so.
Yeah. No, but what we find out is that, like, we can't get into his office, but we can get into another professor, which is Cavendish. And through our powers of investigation, we're able to determine that looks like Cavendish broke into Westerrook's office using a fake key made of soap.
It's kind of awesome.
Yeah,
you see, like, he pushed the key in to make a copy.
Yep.
A thing that you can do, but it's to this day.
Yeah, works like, well in movies and games, though.
Well, I mean, you can though. Like, it's not. Like, watch lockpicking videos on YouTube and see how safe you feel with locks.
Yeah. But yeah, so looks like he broke in there, and we find the exact same bottle. And well, it looks like he went into the office to get that bottle. We can deduce that maybe Professor Cavendish was the one who was there poisoning the fish.
Because you were also looking for somebody, there was a comment that they were extremely bald.
Yes.
And he also happens to be.
Yeah, Grimes told us that the guy was bald, and Cavendish is also bald. Well, sounds like we found our man.
What's the name of the mechanic in this game? Because I always find it a little bit strange when I go into like Detective Vision and there's like the handprints all over everything, and
That's the mind's eye.
That's the mind's eye?
Uh-huh.
Well, it's all mind's eye.
It's all mind's eye, yeah, but what's that specific piece called? Or
I don't think it's got a specific name, but I know what you're talking about when you're following.
Yeah, where they're pointing or where the
holograms.
Yeah, it's kind of creepy.
Or where the squid creature. There was one where I was following, and the person ducked down at one point, and I was like, "Why is it ducked?" Like, that's kind of weird. And some of those get really messed up. Where I'm like, "Where are you leading me?"
Yeah, yeah. In the next case, I was like, "What? Where are we going?" But yeah. So, and then when we come back downstairs and we talk to the kid, he tells us that it's ricin.
Yeah,
which is a very, very dangerous chemical. Is it a chemical?
It's. I mean, I guess anything. Well, technically. Chemical.
But it comes from a plant, right?
It's from castor beans, and they use it for something else too. God, they use it in art for like something. Apparently, it's used for other things as well, like therapeutic applications. If therapy is death, then sure. I can't remember what they do. They use it for in like printmaking or something like that in art, because I remember being like, you have to be very careful, and then they basically said, we're not allowing you to do it. I'm like, all right. But yeah, it's a poison, and it's like, it's got no smell, no taste, nothing.
Yeah. So yeah, so we know who the poisoner is. Now we got to go check out his place.
Now we have to go find his fucking place.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes, just gonna say it, you know, as much as I like doing the investigative stuff, I mean, it's his desk. Is there no mail that he brought with him or something to tell me where he lives? You know,
well, it seemed like he was trying to be very careful with this.
Sure, but I'm just saying, like, everybody's like, you're in the public record. But for some reason, like, I have enough information to go and get your public record. I don't have enough information from your fucking desk to find out where you live. Not a message from someone like, hey, meet me at my house or something like that, you know?
Yeah.
It's just weird.
Yeah.
Also, did you notice the small touch when you're inside that office about the posters on the wall?
Remind me.
Matt, nothing?
Not off the top of my head.
EOD is banned from campus.
Oh, yeah. Right. Yeah.
I was like, all right.
Yeah, I did see those.
Yeah, I remember seeing those as well. But yeah, we gotta go look him up in City Hall, find out where he lives, and go into his apartment, break in, because he's not there. And I don't know what made him go through everything. Like, what in that apartment made him look at this stuff? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's easy to tell, as the gamer, it's whatever's highlighted, but why did Charles...
Why did he deduce that his wife left him for the EOD?
Maybe he was just looking for evidence of rationale, like why would he poison?
He goes in and he starts looking at everything in the room, and it's just like, well, there's a ring here.
Yeah.
Okay. And then it's like...
An empty picture frame.
An empty picture frame, and it's like, this is all weird stuff. It's...
How did he deduce?
It's just detective instinct.
How does he deduce anything? To some extent, he sees things that you shouldn't be able to deduce, but it's like, I'm okay with it because he's having visions of otherworldly creatures. So, at some point I just go, he's been touched.
And I guess this one in particular doesn't even require anything supernatural. It's just him looking through an apartment trying to understand the man to understand why he would poison, right?
Yeah.
And this is just a byproduct.
This is probably the most normal of the deductions, like, but he sees into those portals, right? Like, he sees the past. That's not a deduction. He can see it.
Yeah, it's quite the advantage.
I guess. But so looking through all the stuff in the apartment, he basically comes up with the fact that Anna, the woman who works for the EOD...
Please do it in the Willem Dafoe voice.
No.
So, you fuck the fish.
She joined the EOD, became indoctrinated, took their child away from them.
Well, now, hold on. That is, it wasn't their child.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The fish mailman.
And I don't... See, here's the thing. So, if it's working off of, like, the actual, like, Dagon stuff, as I recall, it's like, she doesn't just have sex with an Innsmouther. That's not how it works.
Yeah, I think that's what they said, right?
With Dagon.
Yeah, I think that's what they implied, is that all of the Innsmouthers were the spawn, right?
Yeah, the Innsmouthers are the spawn, but I don't think it necessarily continues, or you don't just get like another Innsmouther from an Innsmouther and a human.
Do the Innsmouthers themselves mate?
I'd assume so.
Have we seen a female Innsmouther?
Not yet, no.
Maybe they can't.
I haven't either, yeah.
Only male babies. Weird.
I mean, have we? I don't think so. Off the top of my head.
I definitely haven't.
I'm just gonna Google that and get some terrible porn.
Right?
Because that might be a thing.
I mean, it's the kind of thing they need for this world. I haven't seen any young Innsmouthers, so it sounds like, or feels like...
I mean, I don't see any young people.
Actually, yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
They keep talking about, like, hey, my children.
Yeah, there's references to children.
What children? What children? There's a messed up, one of the doctor's cases, if you do his side missions, one of them clearly shows a child in, like, the flashback. Like, when you see the, like, still frame from the past.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a family you go and check up on. And it's like, that's messed up.
Most of these Innsmouthers seem to be about, 50 years old? I don't know if they look roughly equivalent. I mean, if they're holding equivalent jobs to the normal people. Is there any assumption of their age? Because it kind of feels like something happened 50 years ago and everybody went down and found their way to Dagon, and since then nothing's happened. But definitely Cavendish's wife, it wouldn't have been 50 years ago.
Yeah, also, weirdly, I'm reading more lore about fish fucking, apparently. So that the women have sex with the deep ones, is what they're called. That's right, because Dagon's the god of the deep ones or whatever. And then it's like, you start off looking normal, apparently.
As a baby?
And then you slowly change. Yeah, as a kid you look normal, and then you slowly change into an Innsmouther, and then eventually you become a deep one. Now that's the original lore from H.P. Lovecraft, apparently, but still.
Okay.
And it's not because you're not an Innsmouther; you have the Innsmouth look. But I cannot find a picture of a female one, so there you go.
Strange.
So, yeah. So she has a baby who is supposed to be the chosen one.
I mean, they're all chosen by the sea.
Yeah. And she leaves him to join the EOD, and he loses his mind. And says,
now, the only thing that's made sense in this game so far.
Yeah.
You know, everybody else going crazy, you go, well, these people are just nuts. And then this guy loses his mind, poisons a few fish. I go, yeah, well, he's got a point.
So I get the feeling I know what you chose to do.
Yeah, you know what? It was a harder decision than you think, but we'll get into why I made that decision right after somebody passes out and has a vision.
So, yeah.
Reed passes out again.
Yeah. I mean, that happens a lot.
And then has a vision where, like, an Innsmouther is looking through a window, but it's giant, and then inhales, and everything's upside down.
Yeah, it's a short one, but it definitely feels like a bad dream.
It's weird. And then he gets swallowed by the giant Innsmouther, and then wakes up, and the professor's back, and he's like, what the fuck are you doing in my house? And he's like, I can explain. You're a piece of shit.
Yep. And he's like, look, these people, my EOD, they've ruined my life, and they're going to try and ruin everybody else's.
And then he's like, hey, did you notice that they are kidnapping women?
Yeah.
No, I did not.
They're horrible people. And they need to be stopped.
Now, before I took his side, I did say, this really isn't the answer, right? And he's like, I get it, but he's like, I understand that this is not the best method, but this is literally the quickest method. And I'm like, this is all terrible, but okay.
He's pretty sane, though. Yeah. Pretty rational.
Oh, wow. So you ratted out the guard.
Yeah.
But did you poison the fish?
I did go poison some fish, yes.
So not only did Matt say fuck them orphans, but also fuck them innocent people too.
Gotta stick it to the EOD. They're the problem here.
Yeah, so, I didn't like either choice here.
Yeah.
So did you tell him that this is where you die?
No, I lied and said I'd help him.
Oh.
And then I went to his ex-wife.
Out. Okay.
I mean,
went to his wife. Just, I love how you've just inserted yourself into family drama.
That's right. Hey, your ex-husband is poisoning everybody, and he wanted me to poison even more. So you might want to do something about that. She's like, oh, don't worry.
Oh.
I definitely will.
Did you regret that decision right after she said that?
Absolutely
Wow. Not. I love how we're just getting these moral traits out of everybody.
Dude,
Matt,
are you kidding me? The dude has poisoned multiple people, killed multiple people.
Matt, the utilitarian, drew the pro-cult member, and me, I'm like, yeah, okay, look, I don't like cults, and I like kids. I don't want poor kids to not have toys, and,
look, I don't like cults either. I want this
cult gone.
I don't like cults either, and I don't like the EOD. But the fact of the matter is, the EOD is giving out fish to regular innocent people, and he is ended up
kidnapping women. You can't kidnap women if they're dead.
What I'm saying is,
my logic sounds.
The end justifies the means. I'm going to stop the EOD at all costs.
No, shady poisoning of people is not going to solve anything.
You're right, but neither is fucking fish people. No. Just saying.
I will take them down at a later date.
The only place that broke down the logic for me is why poison the fish?
So this was something I was going to bring up with the next case, but you make a good point. I don't like that I have to come to the same decision for the Mind Palace to give me one of two options, right? Yeah. I have to say, all right, this is this, and this is this, and that gives me one option. But if the two are not necessarily on the same page, those two conclusions, it doesn't give me a third option. I think I kind of noticed it on the next mission, where it's like, okay, there should be a third option here. And there isn't.
Yeah.
Because a third option would allow me to have two contradictory sort of thought processes and have some sort of resolution for it still. Even if it was like the worst resolution, right? Even if it paid off in the end to be a terrible decision, I still would have preferred that.
Yeah, it would have been a choice you could make based on your actual decision.
Right. And like, I'm not bothered by the fact that like, if this game is, having this stuff follow through, I'm okay with it only being two. But I do think, like, again, I'll talk about it when I get there. There needs to be some better sort of combination system to this. Like, if you're going to have it where it's like, there looks like there's space for a third decision, have a third decision.
Yeah.
Because the Mind Palace always puts those two bottom ones so far apart from each other. I'm like, well, there's a third spot there, guys.
Yeah. But. So yeah, I chose not to poison the fish.
Yeah, I reluctantly did.
So I went back and poisoned the fish with a hop and skip in my step, saying to the guy, I'm like, this is it. Like, you're not fucking this up anymore. Like, this is the last time there's poison being put on fish.
See, this was my issue going back to poison the fish, though, because Daryl wasn't around, because I ratted him out.
So Daryl was around for me.
Yeah.
So Daryl's dead.
Daryl's dead. I think he's actually down in that torture room.
Oh, wonderful.
Did you go and check?
No, I should have. Apparently I missed it. I didn't notice, and I didn't know until after the news.
You do know that he ends up down there?
Yeah.
Wow, that's dark. So I went back, and I'm like, whatever the password is. And he's like, hello? And I'm like, hey, you're a good guy. Get the fuck out. And he's like, what? And I'm like, listen, I have a feeling she knows, even though I lied for you. And shit's about to go south. And this group of people's terrible. Get out. I know you might not have anywhere to go, but just go anywhere other than here. And he's like, okay. He's like, I owe you one. I'm like, I'll see you around. Get the fuck out. Then I went and poisoned some fish.
Yeah.
And I walked down, and I'm like, he's standing at the street corner, and I'm like, it is done. And I'm like, I need to talk to the guy that you said you were going to set me up with. And he's like, he's in the fish market. I'm like, you dumb... I almost wanted to be like, really? You mean where they were handing out the fucking fish? All right. And then I went and met with him. And this is where I think I ended my review. I think I went further into this next case. But this is around the time where I wrote my review, because I was already pretty late on it, I think. Because I waited for patches, because the screen tearing originally was just vomit worthy.
No.
So
Yeah, I guess. Luckily, as you mentioned, Drew, I feel like the performance is pretty good on these next gen versions.
Oh yeah, no, I haven't had that issue.
I wish I was on next gen. Just sometimes I'm like, yeah.
And
it's pretty rough.
With Daryl gone, I actually just had to handle the 2 replacement guards, and then I could go in and poison the fish.
Oh, interesting. I like the fact that because there was a decision made, it wasn't just like no one's there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is funny. Are they better or worse guards? Apparently, you can just walk past them and walk in, poison the fish, and you're done. But I talked to them, and then they
shot
at me. Yeah.
And then you murdered them in the street.
Yeah, definitely did.
Were they Innsmouthers?
No, I think just 2 regular dudes, EOD guys.
Damn. I was gonna say, I was thinking like if they're Innsmouthers, you just throw them in with the other fish.
So after that, what happens?
So the mission ends, and I'm going to meet someone down in the basement.
Who told you to go meet this person down at the basement?
The professor. He's like,
professor.
I have a guy inside the EOD. He'll help you get in. And I'm like, okay.
Really?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So that happened with me, but Anna told me. So
Anna told you to go talk to the guy in the basement?
Yeah. So I went down there, or I went
Black
to...
guy?
Yeah.
Fred.
Maurice.
Wait, what?
Maurice.
Mine was Fred.
Hang on a second. Wait a minute. Oh, wait a minute now. Something different happened then, because I meet Fred later.
Okay.
So
Weird.
I go back to Anna, and I'll be like, "Hey, your husband poisoned everybody." Okay.
This fucking narc.
Yeah, he'll be dealt with. I'm like, okay, cool. Also, I want to talk to your high-ranking dude. Okay, go down the basement, meet with Maurice. He'll take you there. Cool. Go down the basement. Maurice is standing there with 2 other guys. They both immediately pull out guns and start shooting at me.
Aren't you glad you made that decision?
And she set me up. I go down there, murder all those guys. I find a picture of me, and it says, "Kill him."
Wow!
See? EOD, man.
See, this is already working out, boys.
I go back up to go confront Anna, and I get met with Fred, and Anna is gone.
Wow. See, this is so even if it doesn't deviate far enough, the fact that happened is a great touch.
Yeah. I was like, oh, man, because I wasn't expecting it. I see these 3 guys standing there, and I'm like, okay, let me go talk to him.
I wonder...
Immediately pull out guns and start shooting at me.
I wonder if you killed him beforehand, would that have changed anything?
Killed
like,
who?
If you didn't lie
Maurice?
to him... No, the professor. Like, if you killed him, like, you die now.
Right.
Which I might just do a run of this game where I'm like, I just threaten to kill everybody on sight. That'd be great. But yeah, it was a very sort of slow ending for me. And you got gunned at. And I like how I managed to avoid combat the most. Like, you 2 both got into shootouts, and I was like, alright, I'll avoid this.
So after the combat with Maurice, I feel like I got shot at the most in the next part.
So
everywhere I went, people were just like, kill him!
Wow. Okay,
is the whole EOD after you then?
I don't know. The EOD is now, like, they're gone. The fish market is empty now.
Yeah, well, that happens with me as well.
Yeah.
So they must not know at all, because I'm reading a line that says that the person who, like, Anna's nowhere to be found when we come back to the fish market, and the person in her place is Maurice.
Oh, interesting. Okay, because I did see a guy there, but he doesn't say anything to you.
Yeah. I just ignored him.
Me too. So, okay. So when you meet Fred...
Yep.
What does he say to you?
He basically just tells me, "Hey, I'm looking for a way to get out of
the EOD."
not even the whole city.
Well, you have to because the EOD won't let you leave. You have to leave the city.
And he was like, I was like, well, hey, I heard you're looking for, to talk to somebody higher up in the EOD. I was like, yeah. He's like, okay, I'll tell you, and I'll set up a meeting for you if you can help me get out of the city. And that's where the next case starts. So, go back to Throgmorton.
So the same thing sort of happens with us in the basement. We just don't get shot at.
Yeah.
So he's like, I need a way out of the city. Cool.
Yep.
And then...
go back to Throgmorton.
Yep.
Which was a little bit confusing, because I immediately was like, all right, how do I get him out of the city? And then there was a note that said, before you go any further, go back and report to Throgmorton. So like, I guess I'll do this detour, and then it turned out it was just wrapping up the end of the chapter.
Yeah, pretty much. But Throgmorton, I think, also tells us about the smugglers, the guys who can get people out of the city.
No. Well, maybe he did for you, but Fred's like, yeah, they post cryptic things in the newspaper.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, I'll go to the newspaper. So with Throgmorton, did you call him a racist?
Yep.
I did.
I did too.
And he begrudgingly respected me for it.
Yep. And he says, I will think about what you're
words.
saying.
Yeah. I like that, because you know what? I just realized I'm going to just be honest with him unless it has to do with someone's life entirely. And then it's up to me. It'll be a questionable thing. Yeah. So then we go to the newspaper place, and again, we do the little mini game. Again, neat concept sometimes. This one at least makes sense, right? At least this one makes sense.
Yeah.
But like sometimes they'll be like, go and check the thing, and it's like, why? Is no one carrying ID on them? Anyways.
So I have to mention this because I've gotten to a point in the game where I know there's an NPC that I can't shoot. But every time I aim a gun at them and pull the trigger, they always have something to say. So every time I run into an NPC that I know I can't kill, I always pull out a gun and aim it at them. And there's an NPC we meet later on that I can't help but laugh at whenever I do it. Anyway.
All right, then.
I just want to see what they say. Most of the time, people are like, "Put it down," and some people.
Oh,
like,
I didn't know they said something.
Oh yeah. I
don't point my gun at people because I'm not insane.
No, you just.
I did, however, watch someone about to be executed in the street. Did you just criticize me for poisoning the fucking fish?
Yes, absolutely.
Is that what just happened? Okay, all right. So, forced servitude to a cult of a fish god is better than being dead.
I will kill the fish god. I just need time.
Oh, this is Persona. We are going to attack and dethrone God.
That's right. I'm going to shoot him with a shotgun.
Well, I don't know how this chapter turns out for you, but that's not too far off.
You're right.
Yeah. So, we go to the newspaper and we find the ad, and it gives us a general location to where to meet.
There's
and then we meet some people in the. Oh right, yeah, that's right. It's the bar, and then the bartender's like, "Look, I'll tell you what you need to know, but you need to go and find out what happened to this package and the courier." He's like, "I'm really only worried about the package, but hey, if the courier comes along, cool."
Yeah.
All right, and then we go and we find the courier. The skeleton of the courier attached to a furnace.
Yes.
All right. He ain't making it out, boys.
This case especially turned into, I will give you what you need to know, but you need to do something for me.
Yep.
Oh, absolutely.
And I was just like, man, this is like the third time I've had to do something for somebody.
Yeah,
what I don't like about this is that the last chapter was called Quid Pro Quo.
Yeah.
And this chapter is really Quid Pro Quo.
Yeah, pretty much.
And yeah, it just, the last chapter, I don't know what name I would have had for it, but this chapter was a lot of favor for a favor. All right.
Yeah, Fathers and Sons is what this one's called.
An apt name, but like Quid Pro Quo, I think works better.
Yeah. So, go find the courier. Courier's burnt to a crisp. Figure out, looks like some rival mobsters of some sort killed the courier. Hid the stash. Bring it back. Tell them what happened to the courier. Oh crap, they're going to be after me.
What I like about it is that you see that a man in a wheelchair is at fault.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what am I, fucking in the movie Snatch? Like, this feels, like, what a weird set of characters this is.
So, yeah. After that, bartender tells us that, look, I need to know.
This guy in the alleyway.
Yeah, meet this guy in the alleyway, the smugglers. Got to find the smugglers. As soon as I turned the corner, dudes was just like, hey, do you kick a dog or you pet a dog? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm going to shoot you anyway.
I put it down because it's rabid.
Oh, yeah, it's put it down because it's rabid.
So what happens?
They take you to the location.
Oh, wow. No, that didn't happen to me.
Yeah, I know.
I said, pet the dog. And he's like, well, I'm going to shoot you now. And so I just murdered all those guys.
Dude, when you looked at the newspaper, I'm pretty sure it gives you the answer.
Oh, well, I didn't do that. At this point, I'm just like, hey, you know information? Yep. Die. And then I find something on their body that says, oh, here's the new location. Cool. And
so did you go to the new... So when the new location is the hideout, I'm assuming?
Yeah, the hideout.
How did they take to you just entering that hideout?
Oh, I got shot at.
So you shot everybody in the hideout?
I shot almost everybody in the hideout except for the main room.
Oh, who's the murderer now? I guess they're smugglers.
Well, no,
they shot at me. Did you check the basement where the dead woman's laying?
Sure did.
All right.
Yep. I did the whole recognition thing and saw that they busted in there and shot a woman. And I even asked him about it. So, all right, so we're skipping ahead here.
No, I don't think we are, Drew. I kind of am just interested in the process of how you fucked this case up from the beginning.
I shot everybody in this area and then found out that they were murderers. So I started blasting.
It's a murder simulator.
That's right.
Oh, my God.
Okay, first off...
You know, knowledge is power, but not as powerful as this gun.
Not as far as this bullet to your head. But, I went in, and then guys just started shooting at me. Now,
Drew, you started it by going into the alleyway, and they basically say, password, and you went, gun!
They started shooting at me.
Oh, no.
This is all self-defense.
No. This is the worst case of self-defense ever.
It's premeditated self-defense.
Yeah.
I mean, you gotta come armed. This place is crazy.
Off the coast of Florida.
That's right. It's just, I walked in with my shotgun ready. It just so happened to be targets there.
Castle doctrine. I am in a house.
So yeah, I shot everybody there. I found the dead woman. I said, okay, well then I was justified. And I go up and I meet Brutus. Brutus Carpenter. He's an old man. He's got some of his guys there, and then his girlfriend, I guess.
I don't know what role she played, but I'll tell you what role she ended up with.
Oh, great.
Yep.
He's like, what are you doing? Don't shoot me. Because I already shot most of his guys.
Oh, so he was much nicer to me.
No, he was not nice to me.
He's like, look, I can smuggle them out, but I need a favor.
Yeah, go
and
figure.
I could almost hear the exasperation in the voice actor having to repeat I get it. What do you want? All right.
He's like, oh, don't shoot me, man. What do you need? I'm a private eye. I want to know information. I need to know how you smuggle somebody out of here.
I'm a private eye, and I want you dead.
Yeah. As I say with my gun drawn to his face. He's like, somebody tried to kill me a week ago, and I want to know who and why. Do you want me to kill him? No. I just want you to find out who and why. Okay, cool. I'll kill him if you want me to.
Yeah, we know. This from the man who, like, not less than 5 minutes ago was like, ricin? No. Lead poisoning? Absolutely.
That's
Preferably
right.
delivered by bullet.
Hot justice.
That's right. So, he basically tells us what happened. A week ago, he woke up in a crematorium.
As you do.
Yeah.
I don't understand how that's...
So
you're a lush, all right? Not my fault.
He woke up in a crematorium.
He was covered in green goo.
He was covered in green goo. He escaped and has now been in hiding. Somebody's obviously trying to kill him. Okay, where's the crematorium? And guess what? He tells us both places, gives us the address and everything.
So the crematorium I'd already been to.
I had not, and I didn't realize...
Did you go through the graveyard?
I did go through the graveyard.
Did you find the partially chewed body?
No, I did not.
Okay, let me tell you, if you examine the chewed body, spoiler alert, the thing that chewed it absolutely will appear. And it scared the shit out of me. I don't know why.
I had a tough time
I had already
there.
been there.
Oh.
I'd already been there. I was like, because the guy's like, oh, you need to find me the bodies.
Yeah, I ran into that guy
like,
too.
All right. And then it's like, I'm like wandering through. I'm like, oh, there's a chewed body. And it's like, looks like it was freshly chewed. Huh. The thing comes out from under the ground. I'm like, oh shit. Grenade, grenade, grenade. Oh, it's not dying quickly. That was one of the few times, like, grenades was not just the single thing to answer every question. Ooh. Yeah.
I spent a lot of time in that graveyard trying to do the side quest of finding 3 robbed graves.
Yeah, they're marked.
Yeah. I found the graves. I think what I actually needed to find were the 3 bodies.
Yeah, the 3 bodies are outside of, or in the city.
Yeah. I found the graves. That's all I did. I gave up.
You need the graves to get the information to find the bodies, which is weird, but yeah.
Gotcha.
And I just love that the guy's like, do you want the bodies? And he's like, no, just leave them where you find them. I'll grab them.
Yeah.
Like, that's a weird way to put it, but okay.
So, yeah, going into the crematorium, we can see that there's this green goo everywhere, much like how he told us. And we basically could piece together what happened. Seems like somebody told a guy to take this guy down, knowing that he wasn't dead, and burn him. But before he could get to burning him, he woke up and hit him with a shovel and ran out the door. So, yeah.
As you do.
A floppy old naked guy running down the street.
That's right. And then the other
you also didn't mention is that he says exactly, there's somebody also that is posing as me.
Oh, right. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
And it's like, what?
Yeah. He went back to his house and saw a guy who looked just like me running around acting like everything was normal. So, yeah.
I mean, again, as you do. It's not like it's a new...
Yeah. And I was like, what? I was like, that's weird. Okay. So, the other place we have to go is to his manor.
Which I passed by early on and was like, oh, okay, that one. Perfect. And it's right near a fast travel point.
Sure
Perfect. My favorite places to go.
So we as soon as we go up, we're stopped by a guy, and he's like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! We're giving away stuff to needy people." Once again, a bunch of charity work, medicine and tools and materials and stuff like that.
Seems suspicious.
The Carpenters have always been like that.
No, they have not.
Yeah,
that's right.
Under Brutus, they have not.
Under Brutus, they have not. But since the son is now
taking
in
over.
charge, and this is where this case gets really weird for me, and where I wonder if yours differs. But before that happens, we offer to help. We have to go get a sack of potatoes.
Yeah, God, this was weird for me.
This is annoying. We go down. Oh, the potatoes are gone. Follow the. This is where I think the person was ducked for some reason when they were following the path. So we follow them up, and we go down to an alleyway, and there's some Stygian things holding a guy hostage on top of a car.
Yeah.
And then we do a couple of shovel hits, and then we talk to the guy and say, "I stole the potatoes." And you're like, "All right, for my family and my children, they'll kill me." I'm like, "Give me a minute." Go back and I'm like, "Yo, I need to talk to the boss man," or whatever. So I'm like, "Okay," and he's like, "All right, go." And then I go upstairs and I talk to the son who's missing half his face.
Yeah, I was like, "What the fuck is this?"
He's Phantom of the Operaing it. Apparently, it's a war injury. Unimportant fact for now, I guess. But anyways, and there's some pictures of him seemingly doing culty stuff. But I'm like, all right, look, one of your workers stole a bag of potatoes, and he's like, well, he should have just asked, but tell him to keep the potatoes and take this medicine to him, and just tell him next time, just let me know. He's like, I'm not my father. So I'm like, all right. So I go back and he's like, hey, keep the potatoes. Here's a med kit. He says, God bless, or whatever. And it's like, all right. So then,
fun fact: I did not go back. I kept the medicine for myself, and the guy is still sitting on top of the car to this day.
All right.
Having starved to death.
That's right.
So I'm like, okay. So now I start exploring the house because I have free reign because the guards at the top aren't. I meet the clone, I guess, whatever you want it, the imposter, whatever
doppelganger.
Yeah,
but he's younger.
Yeah, he is younger
and nice, and doesn't really talk to me much.
Yeah, unless we just look at everything in that room.
And I flip over a picture, and it sure looks like Throgmorton and him are kissing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, huh. All right. And just put the thing back down. I'm like, I don't know how to take that.
Did you find another picture?
Wait, there's another picture?
Oh, there is.
Of him and Throgmorton?
No.
What's the other picture?
The other picture is of the son. What's his name?
Graham.
Yep.
Graham.
Graham.
There's a picture of Graham and Vanderberg.
Yeah, yeah. I saw that one too. That's on the side of the dresser, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, why is there a picture of these two guys? Also, I haven't heard from Vanderberg in a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. So Graham says something to me here that I'm questioning if he said to you, Drew.
Okay, go ahead.
He specifically talks about the EOD poisoning kind of opening it up for his charity work.
No.
I had a feeling.
No.
He specifically says that no one trusts the EOD anymore, so that their handouts are being taken, and there's a lot of room to fill.
No, none of that.
Huh. Interesting. And I was like, all right, so we're seeing some sort of follow-through. The EOD can't show their face because everybody's like, they have poisoned fish. Even though it was me that poisoned it.
Sure. So, yeah.
This is where, this mission doesn't feel like it flows as well as the others, logically.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like, because how do we tell this story? It doesn't seem to have, like, a through line. It's like everything's in these parts, and then it kind of comes together at the end.
Yeah, like, from here, it feels like, where do I go from here?
The cathedral?
Well, yeah, not even that. It was, we had to go find the crematorium guy.
James Warren.
Right. Yeah, so, again, back to the doctors, back to checking patient records.
Yep.
Go and find him on the second floor or whatever and be like, bitch, what happened? It's like, there's powerful people. It's like, I also have a gun. It's like, alright, well, it's the cathedral.
Yep. He's like, yeah, it's some kind of weird, was it it was like the forest, Order of the Forest or something like that? I can't remember.
If it's the Order of the Forest, it's definitely not Forest. It's Order of Wrath or something like that.
I thought this was something of the Woods.
Or the Woods. Order of the Woods or something?
Give me a second here. I'm just...
Lord of the Woods?
Lord of the Woods, yep. There it is.
The Lord of the Woods. So, where's this church at? I don't know. Okay.
Yeah, in my mind, I was like, all right, what's been registered? I guess I'll go to City Hall and see, where the churches have been registered. So I get there, I'm searching through, nothing's working. I finally look it up, I'm like, oh, I'm just in the wrong building. Great, thanks.
Yeah, you have to go to the library. Which is the first time we have to go to the library, even if you haven't stumbled upon it.
Yeah.
Where you find out about punishments, Oakmont.
Yeah, this was the character that I couldn't help but laugh when I pointed my gun at her head.
Why? Because she just mumbles stuff?
She just goes, no. Yeah.
She tells you to be quiet.
Yeah. So yeah, the librarian
has
a
mouth
sewn together, yeah. So she can barely talk, but she sings nice. But yeah, we had to. And this one, I was lost. I was like, I don't know what to cross reference here. Like, I had no idea when this church opened.
Well, we knew location, right? Didn't they say Oakmont? No.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no. Oakmont
is
where the church should be. Period, I think they mention 200 years or something like that.
Yep.
And then I think you look up religion as the subject or something like that, and it pops up.
Yeah.
Give me a second. I can find out. Section, religion, period, 17th to 19th century, region, local.
Gotcha.
That was the solution. And then we go to the church, which just was a mind fuck.
Yeah, there was multiple things that happened in the church. First, I ran into some invisible dudes. That was fun.
Yeah.
And I was revealing everything, so they had like different types of like altars and stuff like that, and I would use the mind's eye to make it look like what it really is. Yeah, monstrous creature.
Reveal the truth inside. Sort.
Yeah. And then,
aren't we all just monstrous creatures on the inside?
I guess. But, so revealing basically that this is not a church. It's more of a cult. Worshipping this weird monster. And in the basement of this church, we see a diving suit that leads down into, I guess, underwater caves.
Well, I mean, the whole city is sitting on top of the water at this point.
Yeah.
So,
Although I do find it funny that we get the exact same cutscene when we dive under.
Yeah, that was rough.
I was like,
wait
a minute.
Just don't show me this. Just show like a sinking.
Not even that.
Like a sinking suit in the darkness would have sufficed.
You could have easily just started me in the water.
Yep.
I figured it was background loading.
Probably.
But, yeah. Correct.
And, they basically took everything and took it down below Okay, well, let's go down there. Jump into the diving suit. Have to follow these markers. I actually had to use combat here. I had to shoot that fish.
Yeah, it doesn't really do it. Oh, it came at you? I shot it long before then. Didn't die, but it did fuck off.
Oh, I just kind of waited for it to leave and then ran past it.
You can't stare at it too long or you'd go insane.
Yeah. No,
and then there's a big squid floating.
Me.
Did you see the squid floating up in the sky too?
Up
higher in the water? Yeah. I don't like underwater stuff already. And then big thing I can't fully make out what it is in the dark waters.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan.
Yeah.
Good horror, but as on a personal level, I'm like, yeah. No, thank you.
Yeah, I'm definitely creeped out by the mysteries of the deep as well.
And then it's like, if you stare at it too long, you will go insane. I'm like, that's kind of how I feel about things in the water already. Thank you.
So, yeah. Make it to this underwater cave. And,
there's a box to refill your ammo right away.
Yeah, this looks like a boss arena if I ever saw one.
Correct.
And then I run up on this
crazy man who's
weird
basically
dude with
throwing feces. I mean, verbally, but he doesn't make any sense. And
yeah.
Like, all right, time to die, bitch.
Yeah. So this guy tells us about this creature that's here. God, what is it called? Some kind of mother.
The fecund.
The fecund mother. And yeah, we have a boss fight here. I was not expecting boss fights in this game. Can you not kill this thing? Can you choose?
Give me a second. I'm looking.
You can choose not to. You can just run past.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, does that change anything?
You miss out on a little.
There's a trophy for killing it, but if you don't care about that, you can just run to the dive suit and nope out of there.
Okay.
If you do fight it, pick up the exploding balls it spits out and throw them back at it like a grenade. I just use grenades.
Yeah, me too.
I just blast it with a shotgun.
That works as well.
After it was dead, there were still some people sitting there praying. They got shot too.
This was the point.
Yeah, I left the people praying, but the people that ran towards me did get a shotgun point blank to the face.
Yeah.
Yeah. This was the point where I used up all my ammo in the game, and I have not really had ample ammo since. So
the trick is, and this is a minor trick, go to one of the do not enter zones. Jump inside. The enemies shouldn't spawn right away, and there's always a chest right at the entrance. Just go around to a bunch of those to get a bunch of supplies.
Yeah, I should do that.
Especially if and if stuff does spawn right away, don't use that entrance to it. Maybe find another one, and the other one might not have the spawn zone right close to the door.
I've also been okay running through those things, just hopping into an infested zone, running through if it's a shortcut, and then hopping out.
Yeah, me too.
Murder everything. I will purposely go around, but if I'm going in, it's genocide, boys. The things from between, the dimensions can fuck off back to between the dimensions. I don't care. Not in this neighborhood.
Yeah, and also in the back of this area, you can see that there are other Brutuses.
And I was just gonna say, what was this called? The Lord of the what did we call this?
Lord of the Wood.
Was it the forest?
Lord of the Wood.
Lord of the Wood. Okay, so. Because you go to the altar and you take the Songs of the Horned Woods. And I was going to say, based on design alone, and I'm not saying this out loud because it sounds like something else. That's Lord of the Wood is a character from Lovecraft that is kind of just a gaping maw monster. as described. And interesting take, kind of boring though, to be honest with you. The same character did show up in the second South Park game.
Really?
As a boss battle, yes.
Okay.
I won't spoil it. It's one of the best stupid takes. And they make fun of Lovecraft in it too. That's how I actually was familiar with the character. And I was like, I'm wondering, I just realized that now. I'm like, I wonder if that's what that's supposed to be. And sort of, yes. They don't call it by name, but the fact that the Song of the Horned Woods is the altar. Yeah.
There you go. So
now here's where I have the issue with the Mind Palace. Because now we have enough information to get our decision.
Yes.
And I don't think either of them is fully... Oh, by the way, did you walk up to where the altar is? And see who's standing there?
Yeah.
They're all Brutus.
They're all Brutuses. It's like they're cloning him.
Yeah, it's weird. And they talk about that. When you see the people getting ready for the dive, they talk about, like, building new bodies. And I think someone's the guy whose face is like chewed off or whatever with the key, he mentions like how they brought his daughter back, but it wasn't really his daughter.
Yeah, Pet Sematary style.
Yeah.
The guy, the main guy we talked to, also mentioned that they were controlling Graham.
Yeah. So this is where I have an issue. My conclusion was, look, Brutus was clearly set up to die. The cult is bad. I don't like to me it was like, okay, Graham may have wanted his dad dead, sure. But his dad's a bad guy. Like, I couldn't make the decision of, like, both these people... The cult's bad. And I don't think Graham can... I think the cult will control Graham. But I also think that, like... Brutus is the bad guy.
Yep.
And I'm like, clearly there should have been a third option here to kind of, like... meet halfway.
Or get rid of both.
Or that. So now we find out what everybody decided.
So in this instance, I thought it was obviously and kind of intentionally, both of these options aren't great.
Yeah.
I thought one option was far better than the other. And I'll tell you why I decided once we announced what we chose.
I sided with Brutus.
As did I.
And I sided with Graham.
Oh, man.
So Graham says something about, like, hey, look, my dad ran this... I think I actually tell him, like, look, I know you tried to kill your father. Why? And he goes... And this is the reason why I sided with him, because as much as the cult may have a hand in it, right, he kind of goes, my dad's a tyrant. Like, I don't want to be that person. And this is the only way. Otherwise, we go back to the old way. Right? I'm like, okay. And I go and I talk to Brutus, and I'm like, I'm still kind of like heavy-handed. I'm like, I don't know if that's a decision I'm going to make. I'm like, look, what are you going to do when you go back in charge? And he's like, they're going to go back to the things they were. Even though he gave me a big speech about how he doesn't want to be that person anymore. And, like, personally, somewhat, I was like, you lied to me. But at the same time, I'm like, okay. So Brutus is like, I mean, it's going to go back the same way before. I'm like, really? And he's like, what business is it of yours? And I just went, Sex Semper Tyrannis, and just fucking blew him away, and blew everybody away, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then the lady comes and starts trying to hit me with her fists. And that's when I was like, well, bitch, I thought I was sparing you because I thought you were running out. But apparently, you're going to die here. And I fucking blew her away with a shotgun. She ragdolled across the room.
Jesus.
And then, wait. I didn't kill the other people in the house, so they had to come upstairs too. And let me tell you, kick that door down, boom, boom, just shotgunned everybody. And I'm like, all right, Graham, fucking get my boy out of the city. He's like, done.
Oh, there you go. Now, I told Brutus, your son tried to kill you. He's being controlled by this cult. What do you want to do about it? He's like, well, I'm still in shock right now, but I appreciate you telling me. I'll get your boy out. And that's where I left it. I'm assuming he's going to kill him.
Yep.
I assume so.
Seems like a Brutus thing to do.
I know it's what he did, because now we get to talk about the cutscene I had.
Oh, okay.
I commend Graham for wanting to kill his father, because his father was a bad man. I just don't trust that Graham would be any better, even if he wants to be, if he's going to be controlled by the cult. So
yeah. Well, here's the other logical part of my brain going, talking. What cult? The people I just fucking mowed down? I just killed their birthing machine.
True.
Yeah.
Like the EOD, I never got to see any of it. So what was I gonna fight? You know, the bitch that was handing out fucking fish on the side corner? No. But I went down into the ocean, killed some guy who looked like he may have been covered in his own feces, and then I killed a giant maw thing that crawled out of the ground just to teach God a lesson. And I was like, well, no one else is getting out of here. I've got the only diving suit, so fuck them. They can be a cult all they want. Their god's dead. I killed them. Goodbye.
So, when I went back to the hotel, and the reason why I went back to the hotel was because I unlocked a new outfit after completing this.
The gangster?
The gangster outfit. And I was like, well, that sounds like my kind of jam. So I was like, all right, I'm going to go change my outfit. And as soon as I walked in the door, Reed has another one of his, mental breakdowns. And through the hallway door enters Graham. And Graham walks up to him and takes his mask off and hands it to Reed, and then gives Reed a hug. And then disappears. And Reed looks up almost like, what have I done?
Did you get to see him without the mask?
Yes, you do.
What's his face look like?
He has no eyeball, and it's very scarred.
Oh, boring.
Yeah.
Should have stayed with the scar. And then Matt, you didn't get that?
I think I would have. I just haven't gone back to my hotel yet.
Oh, what a weird...
I wonder if you would get something similar, but with...
No, I've been back to the hotel.
Oh, okay.
We got nothing.
So
I'm just taking as confirmation as I did the right thing instead of a video guilt trip.
Yeah. So and I finally went back to wrap this up and went and talked to Fred and told him, hey, you're getting out of here tonight. He says, cool. I've got you set up with a meeting with one of the big wigs of the EOD.
I met this guy already. I lied to Fred and said I didn't because I forgot.
I did not meet this guy.
When I entered the fish market, he's preaching.
Oh, is that the guy?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, I did meet that guy.
All right. Well, I did say I don't know him.
I looked up a vague thing, and it's like, yeah, they're like, yeah, he's preaching when you first arrive at the fish market. I'm like, oh, I did meet him. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I forgot him clearly, so I mean,
I
meet
did
him?
too.
I don't know. Does a bear shit in the woods?
There's a lot of people on the streets preaching.
There's a lot of people in the streets killing themselves too. I love running across those people.
Yeah. And that's where I stopped.
Yep.
I like that we haven't chosen the same things for different, and when we do, it's for different reasons completely. We arrive at the same conclusion, but we've either murdered everybody or we haven't. This is, and I like the fact that, like, again, even if it's not a big thing that changes, I like the fact that they're like these. I don't want to say minimal. Like, the dialogue is changing. The context is changing.
Sure.
Even if I like the fact that, yeah, you ran into Fred, but this was after they tried to kill you. I don't know. I enjoy the chaos a bit. And I like the side missions and stuff. It's weird to revisit a game I wrote a review on and go, yeah, I think I kind of nailed it.
Yeah.
Is it the best game ever? No. But it's absolutely unique in everything that it's doing.
It's doing something different, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm really enjoying it.
And I'm compelled. I keep sitting down and, like, I'll just do a little bit, and then I'm like 2 fucking cases down. And I'm like, alright, I should take a break because I don't think others will be caught up to me.
Yeah. So we do have an email?
Yeah, I gave it an 8, by the way. That's...
Seems right, so far.
That seems right.
Just looking at the goods and the bads. The story is great. Yep. Voice acting is good. I stand by... Actually, the voice acting is better than the models that they're voice acting for.
Yeah.
I really like the main character. I do not know who voices him. I could not find that yet so far. Combat works well. That's kind of the best way to put it. It works.
It works.
Gold star. Difficulty settings make this game more accessible. I always stand by that stuff. Puzzle solving is always satisfying. I agree. Especially when, like, Drew misses a whole room, right? Like,
yeah,
stuff like that that's... Like, you still solved the puzzle, but, like, it didn't criticize you on how your logic worked because you didn't have that clue, you know?
Yeah.
And side missions are just as strong as the main story. The side missions, yes. The DLC, no. But that's fine. Bad. Some technical issues. I'm having a lot of technical issues. Lots of reused assets.
Yeah.
That only becomes an issue when it's clearly key environments. Like, I've been in a couple mansions, and the mansions generally have the layout of Throgborn's mansion, even though they don't look like that from the outside. But they're usually changed around enough where it's not a problem. It's more of like when I can tell that it's like, oh, this is the key portion of this room that's used somewhere else.
Or the character models. Samuel.
The character models, yeah.
Yeah.
The character models is a constant issue in a lot of games, but yeah.
Yeah. Frogwares have always had an issue with character models. I remember one of the early Sherlock Holmes games I played from them. They tried to model children, and it looked like...
Terrifying?
Well, yeah, it was terrifying because it was small children with almost slightly adult features, but also they were made of plastic that had been put in the microwave a little bit too long.
Yeah.
And I was just like, what is this? But that Sherlock Holmes game is really good. The story's great.
Yeah, and I've heard that they continue to do really good work.
Yeah, no, those games are legit. Like,
and you like Mag Runner. And
I loved Mag Runner.
That's got a good story, right?
Yeah, that was crazy.
So,
yeah, it's not the quality of the models I have an issue with, just the repetition of them.
The range, yeah. Especially when some of the models walking around the town look better than the ones you talk to.
Yeah.
And then here's the last two that I stand by heavily. Moving through the city can be tedious. Correct. Lots of the world has nothing of interest. Also correct. This map still could be half the size.
It really could. It really could.
But I just wanted to look at my review because I couldn't remember what score I gave it, even though I probably mentioned the first episode, and I apologize. But the further I get along, I'm like, yeah, this is still, and it's funny because like now that I've been thinking, like now that after Chad's email last episode, I've been looking at stuff and going, I wonder if Chad's right.
Chad always sends emails like that.
Chad's a fuck. Love you, Chad. It literally is like one of those things where I'm just like, is this all in his mind? There are a couple things where I'm like, that definitely, this definitely could be. I wouldn't be disappointed, but it would explain certain aspects of it.
Well, let's see if he still feels that way.
If he's doubling down or bailing, I support both. Like, that's kind of where I'm at with it still. It's so vague on that. I'm assuming this is real.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's real. Because, I mean, Lovecraft definitely has a lot of mind games in the stories, but the threat isn't imaginary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if this were a random one-off game, I would be more inclined to think maybe that's what's happening, and that's the explanation for all the monstrosities. But since this is grounded in the Lovecraft universe, I mean, I just feel
I mean, like it's legitimate Lovecraft universe. They literally come from Innsmouth.
Yeah.
Like, so, yeah, it's hard to say.
All right, so we get the email from Chad. It is titled, "Can Drew say Sith Gonar?"
Can Drew say whatever?
Can anyone?
Whatever you wrote? No, clearly he cannot.
Kaith Gonar.
Can you post that in chat so I can look at it?
CTHYGONNAAR.
Okay, hold on. You just CTHY
GONNAAR. Gonar is that, but Scythe. Scythe.
Well, wasn't it not be Cathagonar?
Cathagonar?
Well, if it's Cthulhu.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Cathagonar.
Cathagonar.
Fuck it! Fuck it! Also, I don't think this is a part we're at yet. I think this is ahead of it because I'm looking it up. Maybe. Well, I don't know, man.
I don't think he gets into it. I could be wrong though. We'll see.
Okay, well, we'll find out and I'll quickly go if it does.
Excuse me. Howdy, crew. I am currently on the final investigation, and I plan to wrap this up on Thursday. So far, I'm enjoying it way more than I anticipated. Someone last week mentioned Mafia in relation to this game, but I think that was more in reference to the time period. I also thought Mafia while playing this game, but mostly because of the open world design. Like the first two Mafia games, I feel like this world is mostly linear with a somewhat empty map. Now, it's not a negative criticism from me. I feel like a lot of people picked on the first two Mafia games because they said the world was big and empty. This never bothered me because I don't feel like every open world map needs to be jam-packed with a bunch of stuff, or a bunch of fluff, excuse me. This world feels very organic to me and is a nice backdrop to the story and lore. Unlike the Mafia games that tried to use collectibles to fluff the world a little, this one has no collectibles and a ton of side quests. Although I usually complete every side quest in games before proceeding with the main storyline, I never felt compelled to pursue them in the sinking city. I completed a few, and they had some slightly interesting side stories, but I don't feel like I really get anything out of them. I don't need the extra experience. They don't give you any new weapons or upgrades, and they don't really tie back into the main story much. They aren't bad, but they aren't necessary either. Assuming you all have played through the end of Fathers and Sons case, I wanted to recap some of the choices I've made through that point. I told Robert Thorgmorton that Lewis killed his son Albert. Even if Lewis wasn't in his right mind at the time, I still consider that second-degree murder, and he needs to suffer the consequences.
Justice.
This never really seemed to make a difference in the main story. Throgmorton just sent his men to take care of Lewis, but I never saw the results. I lied to Throgmorton and told him that all members of the expedition had died. I felt like if they tried to save them, they would just bring a bunch of crazies into Oakmont. So I never really saw a result of this choice either, and they've all probably starved to death by now anyway. I lied to Anna about Daryl Grimes and said he fought in defense of the fish storage warehouse. This didn't really seem to make a difference in the story.
That's what I did.
I refused.
As I say, it makes a minor change, as Matt pointed out. It doesn't make a huge change in the story, but it does change because the assumption is if you're ratting him out, you are probably going to go with Anna's side, right? So you won't see the outcome of it. Matt, though, shows that is not the case. You go back to Poison, and if you ratted him out, you're now facing somewhat of an uphill battle. If you decide to get in a fight with the guards outside, and you can find his dead body. A minor change is... If you show the consequences of some actions, at least, I feel like that goes a lot farther than just decisions you make and then everybody goes, the things are done.
Yeah.
Which is going to happen in this game, but you, like life, you don't see the consequences of every action you take.
Sure.
As long as you see some of them, it's a little bit more realistic.
See, I refused
Drew
Cavern...
Drew saw that by getting shot.
Yeah, got shot at. I refused Cavendish's plan to continue poisoning the fish to sabotage the EOD. That's a horrible idea since so many innocent people would get sick and die in the process. I had to kill him. I went back to the fish market and told Anna everything. She seemed very appreciative and sent me to the basement to meet the EOD leadership. Instead, there was an assassin down there around the corner waiting to shoot me as soon as I walked in. After taking care of the assassin, she basically disappears for the rest of the game.
Looks like poisoning the fish was the right option, boys.
I decided to form an alliance with Brutus Carpenter, which ultimately results in him killing his son, Graham. Honestly, unless the culmination of all these choices make a difference in the final case, they don't seem to have a major impact on the story. However, they do add some flavor to the story. For example, a character I could have killed helps me out shortly after the fathers and sons case. I'm assuming that if I had killed him, someone else would have taken his place at this point in the story. The most interesting differences I've noticed was an optional cutscene I got back at Devil's Wreath Hotel. If you check the bulletin board in Charlie's room, you will find news articles explaining the results of each of your decisions. One of those results was with suspecting poisoning of Graham by his father, Brutus. After reading the article, I get a cutscene where Graham is standing in my hotel room. That's what I got too. He never says a word, but takes off his half mask so I can see his war wounds, and then he hugs me. When the camera pans around, Charles is standing in the middle of the room alone, holding Graham's mask. Speaking of Charlie...
I'll have to go back now and see. So, I thought it was when you entered, and I'm like, no. And when I've read stuff off the board in the past, I haven't had anything. Now I will go back, and next week, squeaky chair, I will let you know if I have a video or not.
Okay, perfect.
When I check the board. Yeah, you know what? Maybe because I read it that they had major changes. Maybe it does come through. If it doesn't, I do agree that the flavor is at least appreciated.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of Charlie's hotel room, he has a diary in there that updates as you progress through the story. I started to doubt my nothing is real theory until I read the entry in his diary. He talks about being locked up in an asylum and how the doctors kept giving him experimental treatments to get him to overcome his fear of both the dark and the water. His diary is right next to his bottle of laudanum.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah, that he takes for his visions. Like you said, if they go there, I hope they earn it. Until next time, Chad.
So I don't know if I've seen the diary, but the past story of the characters, he's a war veteran that has seen some things outside of the visions.
Yeah.
So, the insane and silent. I understand how that leads. My thing is like, for sure, if you're right, Chad, and this is a dream sort of nightmare thing, and it's all in his head, they've done a pretty good red herring of like implying that like things that happened in the war traumatized him, and that's the reason why he was in the mental institution. You know what I mean? Like, just
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There you go. I'm excited to see where this goes. Looks like we have.
Watch it just end with a really shitty cartoon of like, what is this? And it's just like, I'm sad, and it's like, try medication. It's like, boom, the visions are gone. Cthulhu's dead.
The only thing I hope doesn't happen is that all of our choices are going to be told in like a ending narration cutscene.
You mean the Fallout ending?
Like a Fallout ending.
I'll take it if it's what's his name narrating.
The main guy?
No, I mean,
Ron Perlman.
Ron Perlman, thank you.
Oh.
You got Ron Perlman in to voice this one part, and it's just the narrator, so they could parody Fallout. Yeah, I'm curious to know where this goes. I'm sure there will be more dives. My favorite part of this game.
Yeah, I would assume we'll at least dive one more time.
Outside of the not realistic aspect of his diving suit, like not having a hose attached for the time, those people are psychotic. Like, that should be traumatizing enough. You go down in a highly pressurized suit that if it were to give, it would suck you out the hole. And, man, like, you walked on the bottom of the ocean floor in a suit, like, that weighed a shit ton. Like, at least with scuba divers, you can move quickly. What do you do? What do you do if you're, like, fucked in those suits? No. Just no. It's so... I don't like the bottom of the ocean. And you know what? I appreciate that this game goes there. As a person that's, like, slowly gotten more into horror video games, I'm kind of sad more things don't. Because even Bioshock, it's underwater, sort of. You know? It's like, you're inside. It's a backdrop more than anything. You do go outside a couple times, but then nothing's really out there. There's that weird Sega Saturn game that I think was only Japan and Europe or whatever. That was Deep Fear or some shit like that, where it's you're in an underwater station, and I think the more times you fire your gun, the less oxygen you have and stuff. I appreciate horror in the water. But fuck deep sea diving with a passion. Like, ugh.
Yeah, there you go. Looks like we got probably, 4 more cases to go through?
I don't know. Also, it was Deep Fear. Wow, I pulled that out of my ass. I didn't think it was actually called that.
Oh, there you go.
I thought it was like, am I mixing it up with like Cold Fear, which is a PS2 horror game on a boat?
I remember that one.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. I'm going to try and play at least 2 cases. I'm assuming that's what we're probably going to do.
Yeah.
They seem to get longer and longer.
Yeah. They
Even
seem to get
just
longer.
Travel time.
Yeah. But we'll go back. We'll go back again, jump into the madness again for next week.
You know, I'm just glad, I'm not trying to kick you, Drew. I'm just glad that this is still staying on par with my review, unlike Call of Cthulhu with your review of Call of Cthulhu.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which, it did not match at all. It really showed its hand early on. Or it was really good early on, and then it just showed its hand, and it was like, oh.
Well, that's what happens whenever you're time pressed and you only get about halfway through the game and say, "This is actually pretty good."
Yeah, listen, I was when I suggested it, I was like, "Yeah, that's a good call," and then I was like, "Oh no, what if this ends up being another one of those?" You know?
Yeah.
Well, so far it hasn't.
Knock on wood.
Yeah. We'll see, though. But if you'd like to send us an email, it is drew@ztgd.com. You can also follow us on Twitter. I am at DMLFury. Matt is at REMGS. And the podcast itself is at ZTGD Phoenix Down. But yeah, that's going to be it for us for this week. I appreciate everybody listening. Until next week, I am Drew.
And I'm Matt.
And I'm having visions of weird things in the water.
And we're out of here. You guys have a great week, and we'll be back next week with the continuation of The Sinking City.
Stay dry.